Mangalam sadhu veshaya shishya chitta vilasine vidita kila vedyaya moksha vigna vighatine saumya kashi nivasaya deshikaya viragine chaitanyananda rupaya jivan muktaya mangalam. Om shanti shanti shanti. Shri Sadgurudev Maharaj Ki Jai. Okay, since we have some time, we were thinking to do a little meditation workshop. And the reason is that as part of the Yoga Sutra studies, we will talk a lot about meditation, but it comes later on. And since we are going to have some meditation sessions, it will be good to do it in the beginning. So in the next half an hour, we will talk a little bit and maybe a little bit practice regarding meditation. Yeah. I have already mentioned that in yoga is all about the mind. And that the mind, in most cases, at most times, is very scattered, very disturbed, very jumpy. And we want to be able to control the mind in order to work with it. Probably the main practice for working with the mind is meditation. Meditation is like a scientific study of our own mind. Just as the scientist is studying an object and checking it from all directions and in all conditions, in all situations, and experiments with it, in a similar manner, meditation is a study of our own mind. It is something that most people never care to do. Sometimes I visualize it as our subconscious mind as kind of an attic in our house that we never enter. We always throw things inside. We just open the door and throw things inside and we close it. And after many years, it is full of junk and dust and mice and stuff. And one day we decide that we need to check it out. We need to clean the place. And when we open the door, we are overwhelmed. Everything is falling on us and we're just full of dust and we get so dirty and it is so messy and we just want to run away. The mind, or our subconscious mind, is something like this. We are aware of just the tip of the iceberg, which is the conscious mind, but we have very little knowledge of anything which is below the surface, all the iceberg itself. This is the subconscious mind, and we have very little knowledge of it. And meditation is like putting gloves and opening this room and starting to clean up. And it can be a little overwhelming in the beginning, because just like this room, when you enter, before you are able to clean anything, you yourself get dirty, right? In the same manner, when we come to work with the mind, when we want to meditate, we want peace of mind. The first thing we recognize is all the mess and all the restlessness, and it can be even a little disturbing, sometimes even scary. Some people, they sit for meditation and they have a lot of fear coming up. But if we continue, if we keep practicing, it is just like keep cleaning that room. putting things in place, dusting them, removing, mopping, washing, clearing. At the end of the day, we will be very dirty, but the room will be a lot cleaner. Right? Then we take a good shower, we put on new cloth, and then everything looks wonderful. In the same way, when we meditate regularly, and I want in this workshop to talk about the very practical aspects of meditation. When we meditate regularly, we will slowly start to see a shift from a very disturbed, restless, jumpy mind. The mind starts to change its quality, and we start to understand it in a different way, and we are able to work with it. And slowly we see that these changes penetrate into our lives, into every aspect of our life. Suddenly our communication with people have different quality. The way we see the world outside is changing. And slowly we start to notice changes, positive changes in every aspect of our life. And this is one good reason to practice meditation. But for meditation to be successful, we need to know the mind, like to know the rules that govern the mind, and to know how to work with it. The mind, just like nature, is governed by certain rules. And if we understand them and we know how to work with it, we will get results much faster and very meaningful results. We will talk a lot about the structure of the mind, but now I want to talk about the practical aspects of the practice of meditation. When we meditate, we are creating new patterns in our subconscious mind. This is truly what we are doing. We are generating and creating new patterns instead of the old ones. In order to create a pattern which is deep and meaningful, we have to be repetitive. If every time we do something a little different, in a different way, a different time, a different place, then we are not really creating patterns, we are just creating more entertainment to the mind. The mind likes to be entertained. The mind likes new things. The mind is constantly looking for excitement. Right? We always want something new. Oh, this I have already done. I know Qigong, let me go and do some Tai Chi. And then after 1 week, yeah, Tai Chi is sweet, but I want to try a little bit yoga. And then we go here and a little bit there and a little bit there. This is what the mind likes, because there is no any commitment. Nothing deeply has to change. The mind rejects change. The mind revolts against change. And excitement doesn't involve much change. It's just entertainment to the mind. Therefore, we find that especially today in our society, when there are so many schools of yoga, so many different traditions and we can find in the tip of our finger all the information, everything. We have a little bit of that, a little bit of this. The mind is going into kind of a spiritual supermarket, you know? It is we want to have a little bit of everything, but we never commit to one thing. And that can be very interesting, but it is not going very far. When we practice meditation, we want to create a pattern, a very deep pattern. And in order to do this, we will need to be very repetitive. That means that first of all we have to create a space for meditation. We want, if possible, to have a meditation corner in our house, a place which is dedicated for meditation only. Suppose you have a room that you can dedicate just for that. It is the ideal. Have a meditation room, keep it under lock. That's wonderful. Well, for most people it is not possible. We may not have houses big enough. There may be other members of the family that need to use spaces in the house. So in such a case, we can try to find a corner. Maybe in our bedroom, have a little corner, put a curtain or something and dedicate it just for meditation. Have your own sacred corner where you meditate every day. That has different benefits. The first benefit is this repetitive pattern, that you do it the same every day, the same place. The mind is getting tuned to that. It becomes like a pattern. Okay? It is just like some people eat lunch every day on a different time. Their stomach is not regular. But other people, they eat every day lunch as exactly 12, for example. Exactly 12. What happens at 11:50? Already the body starts to secrete digestive juices. Suppose every night you go to sleep on a different time, your body is confused. But if every day you go to sleep exactly at 10 p.m., then at 9:50 already your eyes starts to get heavier, right? Because your body knows now it is time to sleep. The body tunes itself to the next activity. In that way, if every day we meditate in the same place and in the same time, as soon as the time comes, the body is going to tune to it. We are going to get into meditative state. And as soon as we enter the meditative space, the mind will get tuned to it, because the body knows that this space is a space for meditation. Just as the body knows that there is a space where you sit for watching TV, there is a space where you sit in your garden. Like, the body recognizes these spaces and behave and react accordingly. If we have this sacred place in our house, when we enter there, the body automatically tunes, the mind starts to tune into this meditative state. Not only that, we are going to talk about the thought world, how thought works. There is a physical space and there is also a mental space. You know, right now we are sitting in a physical space, but it is also a mental space. This space, strange as it sounds, carries, if you want, the vibrations or carries the thoughts that are present here. Yogis say something very strange, that thoughts are physical objects and they are present. If you think a thought here, it leaves its presence here. And many of our thoughts are not really our thoughts. Our mind is picking up from the environment different thoughts that are present. We will talk about it more and try to understand it maybe tomorrow. So that's why when we enter different spaces, our mind automatically responds to certain vibration. When you enter a museum, your mind is entering into a particular state of mind. When you enter the local pub, your mind is also tuned in a different way, right? Even if there is nobody there, even if there is no music, just by entering, the place is carrying certain energy, if you want, certain atmosphere. In the same way, when you create a meditation space and you enter there only for meditation, and whenever you go in, you just sit for meditation or yoga or whatever, that will create not only the physical space, it will create also the right mental space for meditation. It will carry these vibrations. It will be a lot easier to meditate in such a space that is dedicated for meditation. And then if ever somebody else will enter, they will also feel this space will be more. I assume that many of us can feel it sometimes. You enter a place and you feel that this space is carrying certain peace with it. That will happen when you create your meditation corner in your house, or better, meditation room. You can actually build it up. Then I have mentioned briefly that our practice should also be as much as possible at the same time every day. It is, I mentioned, just like food, etc., that the body knows that it is coming. In the same way, the timing is very important. Along the way, during the day, there are certain times which are more suitable and certain times that are less suitable for meditation. That has to do with the general atmosphere of the day, which means basically that during the midday time, this is the time of activity. Maybe we sit quiet in meditation, but the whole world around us is active. Everything, there are cars and trucks and people are moving, and the whole atmosphere of the whole area is usually much more active. Even the birds are more active, the nature is more active, and therefore during daytime it is more difficult to find this peacefulness. It doesn't mean that we should not meditate during the day. We can meditate anytime. But if we have to choose our time for meditation, we have to choose a time which is more suitable, a time which the environment is more supportive for meditation, because we need every support we can have. The mental environment around us during daytime is more active, and therefore when we want to become less active, we should refer to doing it basically in the morning hours. Early morning is the time when everybody is still asleep, but everybody is already restful, and there is no much mental disturbance. It is much easier to meditate. In the evening, it is also much more calm, but also there is more heaviness of tiredness, and it is the end of the day, and therefore it is less supportive than the morning. If you have to choose your time for meditation, and you can choose, the best time is early morning. The way to do it is to get up early before everybody else around you, and then take a good shower. Why? Because the water wash away what we call the tamas. We will talk about the three gunas. Tamas is like the tiredness, the lethargy, the laziness, the sleepiness. This will be washed away by the water, and then we will take benefit of the rejuvenation of the sleep, and we will be able to sit for very meaningful meditation. Sometimes if people they get up and they sit for meditation, many times it can become just an extension of your sleep, right? Just another half an hour of sleep instead of horizontal, vertical. For this reason, it is advised to take a good shower in the morning. Before just you get up, you brush your teeth, you take a shower, and then you go and sit for meditation. That is kind of the best way, the ideal way to do it. You have your corner, you sit there, and this is ideal. But of course, it is not always possible. We are living in the world, and we all have our circumstances and conditions, and therefore we may have to compromise. We may not be able to do it early in the morning. Maybe we'll prefer to do it in the evening. If we cannot do it in the morning or evening, maybe we'll rather do it during the day. But the idea is to certainly do it. And it doesn't need to be very long. We are all impressed when we see somebody sit for 3 hours of meditation and all this, but it is not necessary. Even 10 minutes of sincere, devoted meditation is very powerful, and it can make a big difference in your life. You don't need, and I assume that everybody can find 10 minutes during the day. 10 minutes is not too much to ask from anybody. Of course, it's not, if you have small kids at home, and it is very difficult to find time, but still, we can find these 10 minutes after the kids have gone to sleep or before they get up. Sit there, meditate, and then if we do it regularly, we will see a wonderful change in our life. Another important, very important aspect of meditation is inspiration. Inspiration is really the heart of the meditation practice. What happens is people who practice for a while are surely experiencing this challenge, that meditation becomes very comfortable, and it is kind of, we have learned it, it is now kind of going in on automatic pilot. Just like driving, right? When you just got your license, you drive very carefully, and you look all over, and you are all excited, and it is very interesting. But very soon, as you practice driving, it goes into automatic pilot. You can drive and listen to the music, talk to somebody, have a cup of coffee, and look at the beautiful view. All this you do while driving. And the driving is going on the back of your head. In a similar way, when we practice this japa meditation, repetition of the mantra Om, like we did this morning, we do Om, 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 and then the Om kind of go to the back of the mind, and the front of the mind is just starting to go off on all the old nuisance, right? That was there before. And at that time, meditation is lost, right? We want to have inspiration, because inspiration will allow us to keep it new. The practice should be ever new. Every moment should feel like, oh, it is a new thing. It is like inspiring. It's like exciting. And this is something that we have to cultivate, we have to work on. It is like relationships. Sometimes people think that relationships is something that comes on its own, and it goes on. And then they find after some time that their marriage breaks up. Doesn't hold. Because relationship is something you need constantly to work on, to nurture, to... Right? You know better than me. I'm a monk. Right? In the same manner, we have to build up this inspiration. We have to, and the way to do it is through association with other yogis, as far as possible, because this is a very good source for inspiration. And the other side of it is a little bit take distance from people who are non-meditative for us, disturbing our meditation. Another source is books, reading inspiring things, and the practice itself. And also we should constantly remind ourselves about this inspiration. It should be something very conscious that we build, that we create. And this is a big challenge, but it is very important. So our time is almost up, but I want to talk a little bit about the practice itself.
Why don't we say have the tea and then back in and do some more of this before I do the yin? If you want to.
No. I think we'll just do the yoga practice separately, and I will just take a few minutes if it is okay, and then yeah. Because again, if we sit and talk and again we practice, it will be funny. Yeah. A little bit about the practical aspect. When we sit for meditation and we practice japa, this is what we were practicing this morning, repetition of the mantra. The purpose is concentration. We want to cultivate concentration. So we repeat many times the same sound. It can be Om, there are other mantras, Om Namah Shivaya, or Soham, different mantras are there. But the mantra Om is good enough. It is probably the best mantra actually. It is like the root mantra. And we want to keep the mind constantly repeating it. The problem is that, as we said, the mind has the tendency to go away. The mind gets bored with this constant repetition, and it wants to go elsewhere. So without us noticing, usually, the mind kind of sneak in and start to bring other thoughts, and we are not aware even that it is going on. We started by repeating the mantra, and suddenly some thoughts is coming in very gently. We are not aware, and we are carried away, and we are thinking about something else. And it may go on for minutes before we recognize, ooh, where is my mantra, right? And what happens is that we, at that point, we identify with the mind. We identify with the thought. And we forget to become an observant. We forget to become the witness of the thoughts. And that involvement, that identification is causing this forgetfulness. And we are thinking about something else. The moment we recognize it, the moment we recognize that we are not repeating the mantra, but we are thinking about something else, the first tendency is to push that thought away and forcibly pull the mind back into the mantra. This is not so good. The reason is that thoughts are fed by our attention. They are fed by our emotions. When we try to push the thoughts away, when we try to chase them away, we are giving them attention, we are giving them more energy. So in a sense, we get the opposite of what we want. We are trying to push it away, it will come back. On the other hand, if you want to get rid of these thoughts, we have to deprive them of energy. We have to cut the source of their energy. And this we do by not giving them importance, not giving them any emotion. We don't get annoyed with ourselves, oh, I'm not thinking about the mantra, because then you will not think about the mantra. You are just giving more energy to these thoughts. We are not trying to push it away, because by pushing it away, you give it more energy. On the other hand, you will just observe the thought, you will just resume your witness position, observing the thought, let it be there, not giving it any energy, not trying to like it, not trying to dislike it, not trying to push it away, not trying to hold on to it, just observing. What happens is just the energy source of that thought will be cut off, and then it will go. You will see it will just ebb away. And then when it is gone, it will be very easy to bring the mind back to the mantra and to keep the mind on it. Okay? So this is a little bit few hints about meditation. We will talk more about it. We will understand more about the mind as the time goes. But I wanted to have this little session to help us in our practice during the retreat and help us to build it, so when you go home back from the retreat, you will be able to build your regular practice. Okay? So one moment of silence and we will conclude.